Houthis or Ansarullah is pounding Tel Aviv every other day. Israel is responding true to its genetical makeup, that is, dropping bombs on innocent civilians. Its Western friends likewise are peppering Yemen with aerial bombings. But history tells us, till you have boots on the ground, all of this won't matter. Could Israel, the US, or NATO commit men on the ground? And if they can't, won't Houthis extend the threat to tens of US military bases in the Middle East and Horn of Africa? Welcome to this latest edition of WiseHeads. I'm your host, Ashish Shukla. Everyone is amazed at Yemen and Houthis, how a country with half of its population starving are still mocking at some of world's greatest military powers. But Houthis are able to do it because for 8 years between 2015 and 2023, they bet back the West-supported Saudi and other Gulf nations in a civil war. Houthis are tough, are helped by the mountainous and desert geography of the land, and what's more, it has an impressive arsenal of weaponry including hypersonic missiles. How did they get these cutting-edge toys without a dime in the pocket? One reason, of course, is Houthis have friends who are sworn enemies of Israel, such as Iran. There is covert supply of smuggled weapons. Houthis are the only force in excess of resistance which has anti-ship ballistic missiles. A top Pentagon arms buyer recently said that the military capability of Houthis are scary. They can literally rain hundreds of missiles and drones at the enemy. They are extremely tough and battle-hardened. Till you go from door to door and hunt each one of them down, there is no way Houthis could be overcome. If the West thought that the Afghanis are tough, Houthis are a different breed altogether. They seem to enjoy fighting as if it's a national pastime. So if putting boots on the ground is the only option left, who would bell the cat? Who would ask its men to engage in an attritional war which could take months and years in extremely demanding conditions? Israel, which has only 37 lakh armed forces and has already spread itself thin in Lebanon, Gaza, and Syria, US, and its military bases in Gulf and Horn of Africa without adequate men. Remember, its naval carriers haven't been able to free up the Red Sea from the Houthis' blockade for over a year now. Saudis and the Gulf monarchies are wiser now after getting a bloodied nose in an 8-year civil war. Houthis have missiles which could hit targets ranging 2,000 kilometers away. It was Houthis who burnt up Saudi's oil-producing station Aramco in 2019. Yemen is a challenge where if one could get in, it's very difficult to get out. So what options Israel and its backers have of subduing Houthis? First, Israel doesn't share a border with Yemen. Both are nearly 2,000 kilometers apart. The second option is Aden, from where a bridgehead in southern Yemen could be created. But this has groups already aligned with the Emirates and extremely far from the Yemeni's capital of Sana'a. They couldn't do much for 8 years between 2015 and 2023. They can't do any better this time around too. Saudi's wounds are still afresh and they have much to worry about their oil fields. It's unlikely they would burn their fingers again in Yemen. Another option is the island of Socotra, but since it's an island, only aerial operations could be carried out into Yemen. The truth is, committing men in Yemen isn't feasible. Even the United States won't like to get into a quagmire in Yemen. Israel doesn't have enough men, and further, they are fatigued. It can't take eyes off from the reality that Houthis have literally shut down Eilat port on the Red Sea. If they commit themselves to Yemen, the rest of the axis of resistance, the Hezbollahs and Hamas, would be freed up and become virtually unstoppable. The truth is, Israel is so small, it literally has 3 cities of consequence. Dimona, where it has its nuclear facility, Haifa, where it has its chemical weapons, and Tel Aviv, where Mossad and its military headquarters are based. Internal split in the Zionist establishment are apparent. People often come out on streets in protest. Northern Israel is depopulated anyway, and much of economy is devoted on military matters. Truth to tell, it's Israel which is fighting for its own existence. Its enemies are no longer the ones it faced in 1948, 1967, or 1973. It has been able to cause destruction, but that doesn't mean it has been victorious. It has antagonized the whole region, which puts even its supporters, such as Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the rest of Gulf monarchies, extremely unpopular with their own masses. There is this option of using its nuclear bomb, of course, but it's like choosing between the devil and the deep sea. Let's look at the scenario that Israel has used its nuclear bomb on Iran. After all this, excess of resistance survives primarily on Iran's support, so why not eliminate Iran and cut off the very source of its problems? The trouble is, Iran is so big, you can't wipe it out with a few nuclear bombs. Such a possibility would open Tel Aviv to similar retaliation from Iran. Even though Tehran claims it doesn't have a nuclear weapon yet, it has the wherewithal to make the nuclear bomb in a very, very short time. A couple of such strikes from Iran and Israel is as good as wiped out. Even without nuclear bombs, Iran has intercontinental missiles and cutting edge drone technology to launch hundreds of attacks, which would overwhelm the anti missile capability of Israel. We have already seen the much touted Israel's Iron Dome and other anti missile technology hasn't been foolproof when attacked by Iran and its excess of resistance. And it is not just Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran is critical to the new world which Russia and China are shaping out of West shadow. Its geographical location literally puts it in the center of Eurasia, from where all links, roads, railways, sea connectivity could emerge. For instance, without Iran, India's dream of having a land connection in Central Asia and Europe is not feasible. Iran enables Russia to keep its backyard of Central Asia safe, or that it could carry out its African operations without worrying about what's happening in Syria, where Russia has its solitary port in Tartus. For China's Belt and Road Initiative, Iran is absolutely critical. That's the reason both China and Russia won't abandon Iran at any cost. China has a 25-year cooperation program sealed with Iran. Beijing buys almost the entire oil from Iran, which has led to a bumper sale for Tehran in recent times. China is injecting $400 billion into Iranian gas, oil, and petrochemical industries. So influential a player China is in the Middle East that it even brokered the negotiations between Saudi Arabia and Iran last year, the two heavyweights in Middle East who are said to be sworn enemy to each other. Iran is further critical for keeping Russia and China's borders safe from terrorism. If Iran goes, terrorism would spill into Central Asia and Caucasus, which would burn up both China and Russia. Terrorism is the biggest card United States and Israel and Saudi Arabia have used to cause anarchy and chaos in the region. It keeps nations in turmoil, society in turbulence, and governments weak. Neither Russia nor China would like that to happen in Central Asia, Caucasus, or in Xinjiang province of China. So it is not as if Israel could have an evil design on Iran and that Russia and China would sit by idly and let it happen. There is too much riding for both these prime enemies of the United States to let Iran slip out of its grasp. Any existential attack on Iran would spring Russia and China into action, and that would signal the end of tiny Israel. Much as United States would hate it, it's in no position to take on the might of Russia and China combined. We have already seen in Ukraine that Russia has no match when it comes to weaponry or battle-hardened Russian soldiers. The United States has a powerful navy, but China is way, way superior. Let's look at another dimension to this critical issue facing the world. With Houthis controlling Red Sea and Iran dominant in the Persian Gulf, they virtually control the main trade artery of the world. Further, Iran is capable of blowing up the oil fields of Israel's friends in the region, be it Saudis, Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, or the UAE. That's a bargain they are not ready for. If Israel throws all cautions to the wind and the US supports it, it's like stabbing your own allies in the region without worrying for their survival. It would make Israel and the United States lose even their own friends. As one could see, things are not looking too good for Israel. It's existential time for Tel Aviv. It also appears that despite having military bases and all, the United States has no future in the Middle East. It's already a threat to the Arab masses, but before Israel and United States become non-factors in the Middle East, much blood would have flowed in this unfortunate region. Tens of millions are already refugees, and tens of millions more would flow out of Middle East once again. One doesn't know if the Palestinians would survive the genocide. Where would all this distressing humanity go? Europe are already in no position to take further refugees. The fleeing humanity from Ukraine has worsened the situation. Very few would head to Africa. It tells you how bad are the times for humanity. The only solace is it would likely end the imperialism of the West, which has lasted 500 years. It might not happen in our lifetimes, but maybe our next generation could enjoy it. That's all in today's edition of WiseHeads. This is your host, Ashish Shukla, who now takes your leave. We meet soon. Till then, goodbye and good luck. We all need it.